Greetings. Good morning. Thanks for joining us for the continuing of Letter 3 of Christ's Letters. I read from Christ Returns, Reveals Startling Truth. So I'll invite you if you'd like to read along. I've got all the page references here. And if you're reading from the letter I read from, Christ Returns, Reveals Startling Truth, it's page 122. And we're going to start with the second paragraph on that page. The others, I'll give you the starting paragraph and then go up 3 paragraphs. That's where we will actually begin. Sorry for that. I didn't know that when I, made this up. So if you're reading from Christ Returns Speaks His Truth, the first book form, first publication, that's page 138, paragraph 3. If you're reading from the second draft of Christ Returns Speaks His Truth, because that was downloaded that's not the most recent download. They keep changing it. But so if you're reading from the draft that I attached to my email, chapelinthesky@aol.com, it's page 87 and second paragraph from the bottom. Or again, go up 3 paragraphs from there. If you're reading from the first draft, if you downloaded before that second draft, that's page 7 and paragraph 1, top of the page. If you're reading from the original manuscripts, that always puts a smile on my face when I remember those early days being together with Recorder. It's page 9, and it's the second from the bottom of the page again. That was the original manuscript. If you're reading from the ebook that you may have had that period of time where you could download it, is page 104, paragraph 2. And so with that busyness out of the way, and there are more publications coming, but I've got to stop at some point unless I hear from people. So I quiet my busy mind. I release all situations to the One. Allow my breath to relax. Breathe in deeply and easily, effortlessly, with gratitude. And as I release the breath, I just relax deeper into the chair or whatever I'm sitting or lying on. And allow the intellect to be uncluttered. I don't know how not to think, I just know how to not think. So just allow my brain to be uncluttered, my intellect. To have total peace in my head, my body, my emotions. And in this unify with the oneness of which I am. The oneness of my consciousness and all the consciousnesses around my consciousness. You and I right now are one, this moment in time. And in this oneness, grace reveals itself from within each one of us to each one of us. Because Christ is all we're expressing right here and right now. And these letters assist us, week by week, reading by reading, day by day, however often we come to the letters. More and more is revealed to us of who we are. So I give thanks for this direct connection with Christ and me and you. I appreciate that we can look into each other's eyes and see the true namaste of the God essence of me salutes and honors the God essence of you, for we are one. Namaste. And so in this moment of stillness and silence, I just imagine the entire world being this way right now. I know there are others around the world at this particular time also meditating with us. And so vibrationally, energetically, we are one. And because we are in the Christ consciousness, we are one in this Christ consciousness, making available all the seeming more Christ consciousness, the higher and stronger vibrations of the multitude, and all who are open and receptive to being in this peace at this moment, tune in and receive its blessing. And all we ever need to do is be conscious. That within us always is peace, calm, poise, serenity. All we need to do is quiet the mind. Give it a rest, a vacation. And just allow the heart within and the heart without as one. And feel it, experience it, bring its joy, its upliftment, its verge of laughter, its peace and love of nothing to judge of right or wrong, or even good or bad. To judge only, everything is what it is. There is that of me that can perceive it, that does perceive it in a higher state of being. And so through these letters, we bring forth peace on earth, individually and collectively. And I'm grateful that we have this time. I read this portion of letter 3, reminding us that we're in a field with thousands of people around us, jibber-jabbering. They may have animals with them. It's a rough terrain. There are no chairs, there are no cell phones. There's just the land, the wind, the sky, all around us. Flowers. And standing on a rock before us is Jesus. Don't have to give him a face. Just know that he represents the Christ within us all. And he's speaking to the crowds. And he's been telling them about the kingdom of heaven. And he talked about the sheep and the goats. And they playfully and critically chided one another. So Jesus brings us right into this field. So I'd like us to just, if you'd like to just close your eyes and listen, although I go off on tangents. But just, feel yourself in this field surrounded by lots of people. And I know for me, hearing it from Jesus is very personal. And then when I know that Jesus is speaking directly to me, directly to you, just bringing into our language an understanding of who Jesus is seeing himself as and telling us this is who we are also. And he does this in the opening paragraphs of tonight's reading. So let us be together in this other Sermon from the Mount. And if you go up 3 paragraphs from where I said, that's where I'm beginning this evening. I looked at it and I kept saying, well, there's still a context higher than this that I want to bring all so that it flows into the power of this time. Excuse me. By the way, thank you for that meditation. Yeah, we did that together. Thank you very much. And we did it with my normal collective that's a part of us. My posse, my pod, my friends, my beloveds, our community of a Tuesday night gathering. So Jesus has been talking to them about the goats and sheep and about God and the truth of existence, as Christ calls it. So because we're in a crowd now, people from the crowd would ask him questions. I think that's so cool. I don't get that feeling in the New Testament, but this just brings it to a reality. So some of the people started asking, why do the rabbis not tell us these things? And so Jesus' response is, and I can say it's like Jesus' autobiography because it's the Christ of Jesus. So Jesus says, because I alone have seen the Father. I alone know how the world has been made and the laws of existence. And because I know all these things, you have but got to come to me and ask, and I will reveal all that has been given to me. Reveal. I'm going to bring it forth from within you. I'm not going to tell you this. I'm going to bring it forth, letting you know what I'm telling you is who you already are. This is the meat, the depth of Jesus. But the people couldn't hear that then. That's a sadness. That's why Christ came in 2000, because now he knows we have a consciousness where we can understand and take this in and make it very real. I tell you truly, as many people of you as believe and understands and seeks to put my words into daily practice, you, they, we will be saved from the tribulation that mankind endures. You suffer because you do not understand how you have created. Well, because you don't know how you have been created. We don't know the law. We don't know that something that has created us. And so Christ has come to tell us this. He came to tell us this 2018 years ago, and he's coming to tell us that today. That what created you is who you are. Okay? It's just that you're aware of it. The tree may be, maybe not, I don't know. The tree knows how to be a tree. I know how to be a human. And then humanity helps me design a different purpose rather than just being a human. So I've gone back to just being a human. It's a lot easier. You suffer because you do not understand how you have been created and the true purposes for which you were born. You're born to be sons and heirs of the Father. You're born to enjoy all that the Father is in itself and all that it can give you. But you turn your backs on all the glory of this kingdom and trying to find pleasures in earthly things. For instance, I think of lust. I think that's one of the biggest addictions. Seems to be in the news anyway. While you do this, you will never find the kingdom of God, nor enter into the kingdom of heaven. You've got to give something up to have, and it's a practice like everything else. So someone asks, how shall we enter the kingdom? Jesus says, I've already told you. You enter the kingdom of heaven when you repent of all you are in your heart and mind. Repent differently than what the church has taught us. It's not about sacrificing. It's about releasing. It's about giving up. It's about healing. It's about forgiving. It's taking responsibility for anything we've done in the past to anyone or anything, including ourselves. Okay? 'Cause sometimes we've given ourselves up for others, and it's not the healthy thing for us. So repenting is a good thing. It's a release. It's a letting go. It's a becoming. It's making room for the heaven to come in. When I put my focus on heaven, the hell automatically goes away, just as the light distinguishes the dark. Okay, that's pretty cool. When you take your evil to the Father and ask forgiveness and pray for strength to be cleansed of your evil thoughts, words, and deeds, and you finally get rid of them, overcome them, then you may be sure that you are about to find the kingdom of heaven. When you have accomplished this, you will find that your attitudes towards others are changing. For the Father will be doing its love work within you, within me, within all of us. You will be free of the chains and thongs of evil desires and lusts and deeds, which previously bound you and made you a captive in the world. More than this, you will find that the Father does satisfy your every need. And if you haven't read the account in letter 1 of the desert, you really need to read that, because Christ refers to it many, many times to bring the truth into the words of now that we're reading. We've got to understand the desert experience to get the depth of what Christ is teaching. So I ended with, more than this, you'll find that the Father does satisfy your every need. And I say that because of the I can turn stones into bread experience that Jesus had in the desert. So a woman shouts, I have a need at this moment, Master. I am hungry. The people laughed, but that several voices joined in, saying, we have been with you many hours. You made us walk and walk before you would consent to teach us. We have shown you we are the good sheep. Will you not help us and satisfy our hunger? The feeding of the multitude. We've heard about it from many, many preachers and teachers and our own reading and understanding. Here it is from Jesus' own experience 2018 years ago. I realized that they spoke the truth and felt deep compassion for them. They had followed after me, not just for healing, but because they longed to know the truth as it had been given to me by the Father. I had told them that the Father satisfies their needs. This is an opportunity to show them the power of faith and the power that is God. I would prove to them that nothing is impossible when you truly believe as I believed and perceived. I called my disciples to me and told them to find out if there were any present who had food. They found a young boy with loaves and fishes and brought them to me. I withdrew some way from the crowd and quietly contemplated the loaves and fishes, knowing that they were but God, mind, power, the substance of all matter made visible. I knew that God, mind, power was limitless and powerfully active within my consciousness. I knew that the nature of the Father is the fulfillment of need. As I blessed the food, I felt the power flow fully through my mind, body, and hands, and I knew the people's hunger would be satisfied. I did not know how this would be. I just knew it would. That's a powerful statement of faith. I just knew it would. I then took the baskets of food and told the disciples to distribute them, feeling absolutely certain that everyone would have as much food as they needed. As it was broken and passed around, so did it multiply itself until all the throng were fed and satisfied. There were several baskets of leftovers. In this way, I demonstrated. Okay, so this is the Christ. This is the power of the Christ. Here's what I demonstrated. That matter, whatever is visible within the universe, is mind consciousness made visible through the vibration of the motes, which science terms particles. When, as we realize this truth, we can say to the withered hand, be healed, and it will heal. It doesn't take faith. It takes understanding. It takes knowing that all I'm working with is a mindless energy that I'm giving mind to. Wow, that's good. Thank you. Is mindless energy that I'm giving mind to. So matter, whatever is visible within the universe, is mind consciousness made visible. To our demand, our command, our authority, our knowing. And we can only learn to use this in a positive way. We can only learn to use this to heal our own bodies, our emotions, our families, our relationships, or to be able to let them go without their consent, They're not healthy. Let's be with healthy people. Let's be with healthy people that want to be healthier, So anyway, so we limit ourselves. I also demonstrated that changes in the vibration of motes and changes in matter take place as a result of powerfully directed, disciplined, focused movement imagery in mind consciousness energy. Christ says it much better and much simpler. When one acts purely out of love consciousness to accomplish good for others, the only limits to the Father love work within the world are the limits which man's mind sets upon that work. Prejudices, misinterpretations, misunderstandings, wounds, hurts, not taking responsibility, many things, okay? But such changes in matter can only take place when the consciousness of man is perfectly in harmony and united with Father Universal Consciousness. And that's the consciousness that's directly around us. Each of us have our own God essence creating us. We're telling it what to create and it creates it. But if we also listen to it, into that stillness and silence, into that quiet mind, that fertile, receptive soil for the perfect seed and good seed, we receive that, and then the Christ of us grows in knowing who it really is. Because now I've found the creator of me, and now I create according to what I desire. For some that may be the biggest, baddest in the town or whatever, the fastest gun or whatever, but for me, it's peace. How much peace can I have, and how often can I have it? Okay. So although there was amazement among the people and my disciples about this display of the feeding, when the people were fed in this way, not one of them understood how such a thing was accomplished. And it is a mystery, They could only conclude this was a great miracle they had ever seen. It also confirmed their belief that I was the Son of God. And that's inclusive. We're all the Son of God. Christ is the Son of God, and then we're like the sons and daughters and heirs of Christ. The Christ is within us. Another day, I was sitting under a tree outside Bethesda, surrounded by people who had brought their sick to be healed. As always, they marveled at the return of life and health to these people and wondered how such miracles could be done. Again, I tried to make them understand the power of faith. Now, here he is, he's under a tree, meditating, relaxing, just enjoying the time. And people know he's there. They know he's a healer. And they know he's a teacher. And they feel good being around him. So they naturally, oh, Jesus is here. Let's go over, bring those that need to be healed, and we'll listen to his teachings. They always feel so good when he talks to us. So again, I tried to make them understand. So, an opportunity to share truth again. So they want to be taught. I have something to teach them in a way they haven't been taught before. So again, I tried to make them understand the power of faith. Faith is a propulsion to our desire. Okay? In the infinity of possibilities, we choose a possibility. And the more faith, the more belief, the more trust, the more knowing, the more being that's what it becomes, okay? All along that evolution of it. So Christ says in the Gospels, it had been stated that Jesus said that if a man had faith the size of a mustard seed, he would be able to move mountains. This statement is a misrepresentation of what I truly said, and it reveals how little my disciples and gospelers understood my teachings when we were on earth. It's clear to us because we've got the letters and we've got each other. If a person were to have faith the size of a mustard seed, what does that mean? How can you measure faith in such a way? Faith is faith. It is a power of total conviction in mind. Faith is a power of total conviction in the mind, possessing the mind, and cannot be restricted in size. How big is faith? Is it your whole body, your whole mind? Is it all the air and energy around you? Faith arising out of your need to believe in something, because such a belief will serve your purposes in some way, can be powerful and strong, but never could it be estimated in size. Belief is even stronger than faith. Belief is the offspring of hearsay and logic, because you have heard something and been convinced that what you have heard or read is true. You develop a deep belief in what you have heard. You believe it to be true. You believe in a total, complete way which defies contradiction. And I will go another one up and say, from belief we become known, because belief, I think, still has room for doubt in it. Depends how we define it. The way I define it's got room for doubt because there's something bigger than belief. And so I call that trusting. And then trusting becomes knowing, and knowing becomes being it. So it's an evolution of this seed growing into the bigness that moves mountains. But it's still the seed. In the seed is the idea of what to become. And so every thought we put out is an idea of what is becoming. Isn't that cool? So I'm seeing peace on earth by December 31st, 2018. I'm dedicated and committed to that in many ways with YouTubes. And if you're interested in my YouTubes, it's my channel is, if you go to youtube.com, you can search channel, and it's chapel-in-the-sky. And then look for my picture. And they're my YouTubes. And I add them often. So, and these letters are also in the YouTubes. Oh, in fact, that's how you're receiving it. Okay. So belief is even stronger. Then I was going to, there's belief without doubt, because I think there's still some doubt until we get to that place of what Jesus expressed, where then it's being it. But it's a growth, it's an evolution of our consciousness. Our consciousness is all there. It's just that we haven't awakened all of it. It hasn't been nourished and nurtured to the point where Jesus was nurtured and nourished in the 40 days, 40 nights in the desert. So I was constantly telling the people, believe you will receive and you will receive. And it says that in the Gospels. And Mark adds, if you do not doubt. So, if we're believing and saying our prayers are not happening, it's because look and see if there's some doubt in there, some disbelief. Maybe I don't feel worthy. Maybe there's not enough. There may be some doubt. But in God, we saw the feeding of the thousands. God provides. We don't have to know how. We don't have to set that all up. We just have to align ourselves with Father, and it'll be guided to us, or we'll be guided to it. But it'll all happen. Okay, I was constantly telling the people, believe you will receive and you will receive. However, I knew at that time that it would be well nigh impossible for people to ever have the faith which would cause miracles to happen, since no matter how much I might explain truth to them, they would still never have the intense knowing given me in the desert. Okay, so again, the consciousness, I can only imagine what the consciousness would be like back then. I know it's still busy, but it didn't have cell phones and check accounts and even language. I don't think there was much written in those days of people that could obtain it. So it was very. And what would people do if they're bored? They might fight. They might drink. So a very different lifestyle than we have today. Today we know about nature. We see all the laws of nature. We know the intelligence of the migration of whales and butterflies and so forth, So it's like we know a lot more than they did then. So Christ has come because he says, now you can understand. Now you can get it. So I've come so you can get it. You can get what I wanted so badly to give the people 2,000 years ago. And to me, I always think, can you imagine if we started today 2,000 years ago, where would be 2018 years from today? Wow. So, and that's what I'm imagining anyway. But now as I relate in small measures the story of my sojourn on earth in Palestine is with the intention that you, my reader, will begin to perceive and understand knowledge I was given during my enlightenment. My intention is to give you knowledge. Hearsay are when you are told something, but you cannot really prove it is true. Knowledge is when you are told something or read something, and because of what you have now heard or read, complies logically and realistically with all related items of knowledge already in your mind, and you can understand and believe it in a realistic, logical way. The new information becomes knowledge. You know that what you now know is true. You have a sense of conviction. Okay? And that's why I enjoy sharing these letters with you, because I have this conviction in me, and I know that comes through the reading. So I appreciate this for all of us, because we're doing what Jesus wanted to do 2,000 years ago. Up to this time, some of you have had faith in Jesus Christ, but you have been like precocious children. Your faith has been partially blind and accepting, yet interwoven with much doubt. Therefore, whatever you needed to be done for you, you depended on Jesus for the work to be accomplished. Whereas, in fact, much of what you believe you have derived directly from Jesus has been your own faith in Jesus made visible in the form of things asked for. So what Christ is saying here is, you already are doing this. You're just not aware how you're doing it. It still seems like there's something outside of you doing it. But as Jesus said to so many people, especially through Luke, it is not I that did the healing. It was your faith that you could be healed That's what did the healing. Okay? So when we align ourselves with the Father's not judging it. As far as Father's concerned, we're always aligned with it. We cannot be unaligned. That's why we get what we get. We're always telling the Father what we want. So it works. So when I really believe it, and I believe it with more faith of it coming into being, energetically, that's what's happening. But it's all energy and it's all consciousness. It's all seeming magic, but very explainable. The invisible becomes visible. While this childlike faith is very important to your well-being, so it's an immature faith, those of you who are capable of moving onward on the spiritual path to perfection must now reach a deeper level of true knowledge of the relation between mind and matter. Without this foundation, people will continue to flounder in religious myths and will be locked into the misery of the human condition. It was back there 2,000 years ago too. When I was on earth, I spoke truth to the people, but it was continually misinterpreted. What I really said regarding faith was this. Now here, imagine, here's Jesus. He's at this tree that he's been sitting under, and he's talking to the people about the mustard seed and the tree. Christ points to it. You see this great big fig tree, this great big tree? It has grown out of the tiniest seed imaginable. I don't know if you've ever seen a mustard seed, but it's much smaller than a poppy seed. And poppy seeds are pretty small, but this is would be almost like a nucleus within that seed. It's so tiny. Okay, it has grown out of the tiniest seed imaginable. See the vast trunk and branches and foliage. All that enormous growth has come out of a small seed. How did such a thing come about? From whence came all the wood in the tree and the foliage which adorns it? Is not this as much a miracle as are the miracles I perform for you day after day? Is not the growth of this tree as much the work of the Father as the healing which takes place in sick people? I ask you, what is a seed? Can you tell me? No, you cannot, but I will tell you. It is a tiny entity of consciousness knowledge. It is the consciousness knowledge of what it will become. It is a fragment of consciousness drawn from divine creative consciousness. It is a fragment of mind power drawn from Father mind power, which when planted in the earth and watered by rain will begin to clothe itself with the visible matter of which it possesses knowledge deep within itself. It knows what it's going to become. An acorn knows it's going to be an oak tree. There's nothing, it can't be a human. It can't be a watermelon. It can only become an oak tree. And it knows this. There's nothing to deny that. There's nothing to defy it. And knowing this, it says, so feed me, nourish me, help me to grow into being the oak tree and the greatest oak tree I can become. So thinking of this within ourselves, that's why I'm so excited about these letters, because this is what Christ is revealing for us. This is what's inside of us, that the Jesus that many of us so admire as an exception is now, no, he's just showing us the potential within each of us. And that for me is one of the most powerful realizations, is to know that the state of Jesus consciousness is available to all of us. It is who we already are. How fast can we move through it? I'm saying by December 31st this year. So let's do it. So, sorry, this gets very exciting for me. It's like nurturing the seed. It's like adding water and sun to the words, that the Christ for me brings itself into such reality. And I'd like to share that reality and then encourage you as you read these letters, get that excited, get that experience of, this is directly to me, awakening me, telling me who I really am, and telling me how my thoughts work, how the creative process works. As Christ says, we have to learn it if we want to shift the world from where it could be headed to the way it can be. Peace on earth, the era of love and joy and peace. Okay. I'll see if I can do this without interrupting. I apologize, but for me, this has all been really, really good. I ask you, what is a seed? Can you tell me? No, you cannot, but I will tell you. It is a tiny entity of consciousness knowledge. It is the consciousness knowledge of what it will become. It is a fragment of consciousness drawn from divine creative consciousness. It is a fragment of mind power drawn from Father mind power, which when planted in the earth and watered by rain, begins to clothe itself with visible matter of which it possesses knowledge deep within itself. This knowledge is true. It is firm, it is strong, and undeviating. This self-knowledge embodied in the seed is a conviction in consciousness. All of life forms arise out of this one-pointed self-knowledge, a conviction in consciousness. Whatever it is, begins with that idea, and that idea is the seed, the conviction in consciousness. This conviction in consciousness is what separates the inanimate soil and rocks from all that lives and grows upon the face of the earth. Where there is no conviction of consciousness or knowledge of identity, there is no growth. The consciousness within soil and rocks remains consciousness in a dormant form. It's there only to give. Therefore, if you could believe in what you ask for, as powerfully as does a mustard seed know its own identity, you'd be able to do anything you wanted to do. If you could carry within your mind a seed, the perfected plan of your most heartfelt goals, and know beyond all doubt that it can grow and come into perfect fruition, you would see this wonderful seed take on a life of its own, which would presently manifest in your life. And you could surely move the mountains in your lives. These mountains would stand across your path and prevent you from achieving all that you would like. Mountains which in times of recklessness and evil thinking have been created by yourselves. So all the wounds that have hurt us, however we want to talk about our parents, our siblings, anything that has hurt us, any abuse, regardless of how deep, just know, have faith that in finding who we are, we can release all that. Everything can be forgiven. There's nothing that love cannot forgive. Even if we're the perpetrator of some horrible act, we can also be forgiven of those acts. So it's important that we clear our mind of the old patterns so that we can live anew. If I live in pain and hurt, I'm allowing that consciousness to be a seed to produce that which I don't want. So I've got to learn, how can I get rid of this seed? How can I get rid of this consciousness? How can I heal it? How can I overcome it? How can I believe stronger in the truth of me than the untruth? For the truth of me is perfect life, perfect support in all ways, perfect harmony in all my relationships. This is the truth of us. Jesus was an example. I keep using him as the example because he was the example of all that Christ is saying here. So we see someone who can do it, and Jesus is saying, hey, dude, to Dwight, and dudette to the lady, you can do everything that I've done. You can heal, you can teach, you can do everything I've done. All you have to do is come to the Father. Father and I are one. The Father knows all the deeds. The Father knows the perfect way to express as a human being for this beautiful land that has been provided for us. The trees, the mountains, the water, the air, the beauty. and seeing everything working together. The Father did all this as the creator of us, and we're here to enjoy and appreciate this land and every aspect of it because it supports us. It gives us the air that we breathe, the food that we eat, and the clothes that we wear. Every manifestation we have on this earth comes from the earth, but it's from the idea of the God essence of us. It says, here's how we can live. Look at these beautiful caves we've created. We can control the environment with warmth and cool and running water and the ease of living, the protection from the elements, the animals and things we may not want, the bugs, the mosquitoes, okay? So all that we have been doing is God expressing through us. God bring us, I can make this even better. I can make this even better. But now we have to realize that we have to also make it better, not just for humanity, but to be in concert and oneness and appreciation with the land that's given it to us. You know, it only gives, but it'll be very happy for it to receive our gifts back, just with respect. So, if you only understood creation and existence, you'd be able to live lives of total freedom, limitless achievement, and transcendent joy. Seek to understand, and you'll find that little by little, understanding will come to you. It just takes opening ourselves. Knock on the door of the universe, giving access to God, the universal Father consciousness, and eventually you'll find the door swinging open, and you'll have entrance to the secrets of the world. Only believe, and you will receive. I also reminded them at times, only those with pure minds and hearts will accomplish these mighty works. Only those with pure minds and hearts will accomplish these mighty works. And that also is a process, purifying the being, purifying the self. It's not all of a sudden. It can happen that way, but most likely it will not. Okay? Most likely we have to undo, we have to learn, we have to overcome, because that is the coming into the Christ nature, in the overcoming by healing the wounds, ignoring temptations, forgiving, okay? All these things. The wicked may flourish for a while, as have kings and marauding armies, and others hoarding iniquity in their minds. They have been permitted to do their work for a while, since certain good would also arrive out of the evil. We always have to be looking for that. In everything bad, there's something good, Yeah, it's something bad, there's something good. But we have to look for it. If we only look for the bad, we're only going to see the bad. But if we look for the good, the Father will show us. Changes our perception, okay? It's opening our perception to see it differently. There is certain good also arises out of the evil, but eventually they fail, and their names are reviled by the rest of the world. Therefore, as many of you as would succeed, examine your motivations. Desires born solely of selfish longing for wealth or comfort eventually end in disappointment, sickness, and death. And I say to you who read these words, let no one dare deny the truth which I speak, until they too have walked the path of self-renunciation which I walked on earth, and reached the same union with the Father and the heights of incontrovertible knowledge and understanding as I possessed. We can't just challenge Jesus until we get there, So, and getting there is like, what's there to challenge? We are one. And I say to you who read these words, let no one dare deny the truth which I speak, until you also have walked the path of self-renunciation which I walked on earth, and reached the same union with the Father and the heights of incontrovertible knowledge. Can't be converted. Truth is truth. It can't be changed. So that's the truth we're seeking to find, to get to. Until we get there, we can't be denying Jesus because, or Christ, because he's saying this is the truth. Until you know the truth, you can't really challenge it, So, I don't know if he says that, but that's how it came to me. Okay. When you have reached all of this, you will no longer have any desire to deny the truth I speak to you, but will be unable to restrain yourselves from joining me in teaching your fellow men. Until this time, hold your peace and let no man know your ignorance. A teacher used to say to one of the students who was always kind of mouthing off, he said, "It's better to be thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt." And I thought, that's pretty profound. I open my mouth constantly. And if something, whatever comes out, comes out, I just take responsibility for it and enjoy it. How often throughout the world people gladly embrace my teachings as being highly moralistic and the most perfectly formulated guidelines to good behavior and daily living. Good manners, good appearances. However, they add quickly that the stories of miracles should be discounted, since such aberrations of natural laws of the universe are not possible. This type of thought is building barriers to the future progress in spiritual scientific development, of which a human mind is capable. So hear that. There's one God, it's a God of philosophy, a God of science, a God of religion, but there's one ultimate God through it all. In fact, I did not come to earth to introduce a new religion or even a higher moral code than that given by Moses in the Ten Commandments. My purpose is to bring a new perception of God as created and understood of existence itself. I'm sorry, I read that incorrectly. I had to add some punctuation here so I could read it properly, and then I didn't read it. My purpose is to bring a new perception of God as creator and understanding of existence itself. So this is what he brought to bring us. God is not the Jehovah that the Jews talk about. God is not an entity of any kind, but everywhere present. So I came to bring that God is love. God is not judgment. God is all that is. Okay, so that's one. The other is to understand existence itself. How does this God express? How does this God create? So out of this knowledge comes a new way of life. The correct attitude towards my mission on earth in this third millennium is to acknowledge that the miracles I performed are beyond the capabilities of the average human being at this time. Not tomorrow, but at this time it seems impossible. But tomorrow it'll be more possible because you and I will understand even more and be able to bring more of it into our world and our life. However, such miracles were examples of what can be achieved in the future as people's minds are fully imbued with the true knowledge of existence and are also, through faith, meditation, and prayer, fully attuned to and imbued with universal life, love, consciousness. And then Christ, next week we're going to begin with Christ walking on the water. Is it true? So again, we're there with Jesus, and Jesus takes a walk on the wild side and gives us some insight that heretofore has only been imagined, and now we get the truth of it. So thank you for being here, and do join us next week. And thank you for listening and watching, and if it has any meaning to you, I'd like you to just drop me a line, just say, yeah, I saw one and it's okay or whatever, or this isn't for me, just something. I'd just like to hear something. God bless you. God bless us all. Bye-bye for now.